Across the Aisle segment tonight. On Friday, ABC News published a bombshell report on air claiming that President Donald Trump directed Mike Flynn to contact Russian officials during the 2016 campaign. This was the smoking gun liberals wanted. The report drew so much attention that it caused the stock market to crash. But there's just one problem. The report wasn't true. Around 7.5 hours after the original report, Brian Ross issued an on-air clarification that their source had explained that it was after the election when President Trump reportedly asked Flynn to contact the Russians. This is the pseudo-clarification.
Tonight on something one of Flynn's confidants told us, and we reported earlier today. He said the president had asked Flynn to contact Russia during the campaign. He's now clarifying that, saying, according to Flynn, candidate Trump asked him during the campaign to find ways to repair relations with Russia and other hotspots. And then after the election, the president-elect asked him and told him to contact Russia on issues, including working together to fight ISIS.
With me now, history professor and author of Obama's America, Ian Reifowitz. Ian, good to see you, friend.
Good to see you again, Liz.
All right, Ian, some of our best segments are about media and media bias, and that is the topic of tonight's segment as well. This news from Brian Ross, he went on air and said that it was candidate Trump, not President-elect Trump, who directed General Mike Flynn to contact the Russians. That report caused the stock market to crash by 350 points. That was fake news. It was not accurate. Where was the outcry from the left about this fake news causing actual damage to actual American people?
I saw some outcry. I saw quite a bit of outcry. First of all, I saw ABC News punish Brian Ross by taking away his pay for 4 weeks. I don't want to lose a month's pay if I screw up at work. So I'd say that ABC took it pretty seriously. And Brian Ross's reputation has a black mark on it, as it should. As it absolutely should. And so let's talk about media bias and reputation, right? Breitbart in 2010 doctored a video, didn't get a story wrong, doctored a video of Shirley Sherrod to whip up white racial resentment against Obama and the NAACP. Breitbart's reputation, your audience possibly still has some people in it who watch Breitbart. Do they think of Breitbart as a place that not only gets stories wrong, but that doctors videos?
Hold on just a second. No. Hold on just a second. Don't insult my viewers by saying that they fall for fake news. We, conservatives and Republicans in the 2016 election, have been the first and the loudest to condemn fake news in the sense that when it's actually fake news, it's been Democrats who have called anything that they disagree with to be fake news. And I guess I don't appreciate Brian Ross's clarification and his apology. First of all, it took 7.5 hours for ABC News to issue a clarification, which they did on Twitter. They later removed that because it was so ambiguous. They said nothing about this stock market crash that they caused. And I guess I don't understand why liberals, who are so worried, they say, about the financial implications of the GOP tax bill, didn't mention the stock market aspect of fake news coming from a journalist who, I agree with you, has a very bad reputation.
I'm really not sure what you're asking for here. The stock market recovered all of those losses within the same session. So it was even within the same news cycle before anybody, that the economic numbers came back up. And just remember, when I'm really not sure what you're expecting people to do. Within the same day, ABC suspended the guy for 4 weeks, took away his pay. Now, if they had done nothing and if they had said nothing, then absolutely I would be 100% in agreement with you. Where's the reaction? Where is the punishment? Where are the consequences? But the consequences were there. The consequences don't seem to be there on the other side.
No, I'll tell you what I'm asking for. I'm asking for an equal standard. I'm asking for regular, everyday American people like you and like me to have outcry the same for Democrats when they commit wrongdoings as there is for Republicans. I'm asking for an understanding, for a verbal acknowledgement that media bias coming from left-wing media organizations has an impact on people's day-to-day lives. We heard all these allegations during the 2016 election that fake news on Facebook, fomented violence on the right, that it impacted the course of people's lives because it influenced the election. Where is that rhetoric when that fake news comes from the left? Because all we hear from the left is what you're saying. Oh, they took care of it institutionally. They punished him. They sat him on the bench for 4 weeks, as if for someone as highly paid as Brian Ross, that makes a difference one way or the other. It reflects badly on ABC News that they have him on their payroll to begin with. What I'm asking for is an acknowledgement of that, and I have not heard that from anyone on the left.
Well, I have. And I don't hear from the right the same kinds of things. The incident that I mentioned with Breitbart is 1,000 times worse than what ABC did. ABC got something wrong by mistake. Breitbart made up a story that didn't exist specifically to foment race hatred.
And if they did that, then that is wrong.
Sickening.
I have no problem, no hesitation standing with you and saying that that is wrong. I'm not familiar with the story specifically that you're talking about, but if somebody, no matter what their political affiliation, fabricated a story, that's wrong, unequivocally. And I can sit here and say that, but you say a mistake. How do you know it's a mistake and not institutional bias when this individual and this network has been known to be biased against Republicans, against conservatives, and against Donald Trump in the past?
Why does Breitbart exist? How can Breitbart exist after making up that story? They settled the lawsuit. They had to pay Shirley Sherrod. This is public record. Breitbart, if there was any kind of fairness, the right wing would have hounded Breitbart out of existence.
This isn't about Breitbart. This is about ABC News. This is about Brian Ross. This is about a false allegation they made against President Trump, a crime they accused him of that caused real-world implications. It caused the stock market to crash. When the stock market crashes, people lose money, and how the left is just brushing it along as if, okay, it recovered, we're all good, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It shows us the bias of the left. It shows them that they didn't fact-check this story enough because they were so in a hurry to push the narrative that they wanted versus the truth. I have a problem with that. I would hope that you would too.
Of course I do. Any mistake by a journalist is unacceptable. Journalists make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But the idea that there is an institutional bias is absurd. The 2016 campaign media bias was against Hillary Clinton. All they talked about was emails the entire time. Donald Trump did so many other awful things, and maybe because he did so many of them, they just one outweighed the next. But the media bias was against Hillary Clinton. You can look at the media studies of the way they talked about her negatively versus the way they talked about Trump negatively.
I did. I read the Media Research Center. They found that over 90% of coverage of President Trump during the primetime news hours was negative. The same cannot be said for Hillary Clinton. It was dominating Trump. But that's getting to a different topic, I suppose. Ian, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. All right, guys, our final tipping point of the night. 4 days after Kate Steinle's killer was acquitted, we've already stopped talking about it. Do not stop talking about it. Kate Steinle was killed thanks to sanctuary cities and Democrats who support sanctuary cities. We owe it to Kate Steinle and others like her to keep fighting until sanctuary cities are abolished. We'll be right back to do that.